Hello and welcome to Access Sportsnet. Lakers, driven by your Southern California Honda dealers. I'm Chris McGee, joined by Robert Ory, Allie Clifton, Mike Bresnahan. Big Game James has the night off. We'll hear from Mike Trudell in the locker room in a little bit. The Lakers lose a 14-point lead late in that third quarter. They built up a 16-point lead in the first quarter. Looked like they might cruise to the shorthanded Wizards, and spoiling one of the great moments of this year for this Laker team. LeBron James passing Karl Malone and moving into that number 2 all-time scoring leader list. But Rob, Allie, Brez, Stu said it best at the end. Another late Laker collapse and a lesson to be learned. You have to play the full 48. And when you have a team on the ropes in the NBA, you got to put them away.
Yes, especially when you have a guy like the Unicorn. You know, Unicorn hasn't been Unicorn in a while. I think he had, 16 points in that fourth quarter. You got to be able to shut people down. And the Lakers didn't shut people down in the second half because they gave him life. They got a little excited. You know, you only won one game on the road. You only have one game winning streak, so you need 2 to keep it going. So there's a lot of problems that happened in this game. And if I had to pick just one, it had to be at the free throw line, because they gave up 31 free throws to Washington, and you can't have that. You can't foul. You got to play good defense, and that's something the Lakers haven't been doing of late. That's playing good defense.
I think what's so disappointing, too, is you think about last night and just how that game was played from start to finish in Toronto less than 24 hours ago, and their ability to withstand runs, their ability to stay in it until the final buzzer sound. And then tonight to only put together really 2 3/4 of a game. I think it just goes to show, as we've talked about, too, it's been a long time since the team has won back-to-back games, which tells you when you are not a part of a team that has the body of work, the experience, the cohesion through said experience, you can't take possessions off. You can't take opportunities off. When you have and build a 16-point lead, the mentality must be to keep the foot on the gas and take every possession as if it's an opportunity.
Altered down the stretch. I mean, first 3 quarters, 36 points, 31, 32, and then 20. I mean, it really fell off a cliff in the final 12 minutes there. Looked a little fatigued on the whole as a team. Got to beat up the defense, too. I mean, the Lakers shot 53% on the night. And they really, as you see, 69 points in that second half. That's just unacceptable. You're not going to win too many games. We've seen the Lakers continually give up these big halves. A lot of times it's the first half. This time tonight, the defense really got hit hard in that second half. Lakers fall to now half a game ahead of New Orleans for that 9th place spot in the West. See what happens there.
Rob, last night felt good. I mean, none of us got too up about it because I think we were saying today in the pregame show, well, they need to back it up. There hasn't been a back-to-back win since January 7th, so we're not going to celebrate much. But the way they won that game last night, the resilience, the coming back, Russ having his huge moment, and then you build up that 16-point lead, things started to look good. When you look at this Wizards team, 7 players in double figures, Satoransky, Avdija, Gafford was 17. Those 3 guys was 16 or more. It's frustrating.
It's frustrating because you look at those guys and you look at Kuz not playing, Bradley Beal is not playing. It's a back-to-back for them also. There's a lot of scenarios that's going on that you expect this Laker team to come out and fight the good fight. But it didn't happen. You got guys that we probably won't even hear from in the next 2 years that won't be in the league that go out and get 15, 18, all these type of points. And that boils back down to playing defense. You got to play defense. And the Lakers haven't been locked in a lot of times. They lock in, like we talk about with the good teams. You got to lock in with every team, not just a good team. And you got to respect every player, because every player in this league can score or they wouldn't be in the NBA.
And Allie, I think we were all excited because we knew what was coming. LeBron was going to be in that wall right there. It was going to be a nice walk-off interview. We were going to celebrate a great moment. But Kristaps Porzingis had other plans, which he's done to this Laker team in the past. Rob said it best. He hasn't been the unicorn much the last few years. But when he plays this team, and tonight, he was unstoppable. 27 points, 16 in the fourth.
He's so skilled, and I think that's what it is. People kind of tend to forget how dynamic he is and what he can bring to the table night in and night out. And he's still getting used to his squad in Washington. And really right now, let's be honest, what they don't really have to play for. So it's an ability for him to play carefree. It's ability to him go out and take the shots, take the opportunities that are given to him. And down the stretch in the fourth quarter, we saw it.
They were pretty much out of the playoff picture. It'd have to be a miracle for them to even make it to 10th in that play-in tournament. So really, the Lakers have some stuff to play for. You would not have noticed that had you turned on the game in that fourth quarter, Rob. Definitely a bad loss for the Lakers.
Rob, is it more of a mental approach when you see these late game collapses or lack of execution. I mean, even last night, and I was telling you guys before we came on air, I was ready to talk about the Lakers losing again down the stretch because of the final 2 minutes. Until that steal by Russ and that big three and the Lakers rolling in overtime, it was going the other way. So what is it, Rob, that you're seeing that happens kind of late game and down the stretch?
You know, for me, you look at these games and you analyze these games and you keep trying to figure it out. And it's hard. It's like this season's been so crazy to try to figure out. And I think for me, it comes down to respect. At the end of the game, they don't really respect their opponents. They have to come out and play each and every possession like it's the last 5 seconds of a shot clock or the last 5 seconds of a game. And I think that's, to me, the only thing that I can see, because they have the talent. If you watch them defensively, they good for 20 seconds, for 15 seconds, but it's that last little time in the shot clock is when it's like when they're like, okay, go ahead, go to the basket. Okay, I play good defense, now I'm a foul. Okay, I'm going to, help too much and give up a three. It's those things that they have to respect. When I say respect the defensive principles, respect the players, and respect the game. And you have to do that in order to win.
Rob, you said before the game the biggest win of the year for you was when they beat Utah. They allowed that team, they kept that team to 101 points. And if I'm not mistaken, AD was part of that game, but then he got hurt, and the Lakers still turned up the defensive pressure. So they can do that with these guys right now on the court. We just haven't seen it night in and night out.
Yeah, I think Rob brings up a great word, Ali. Respect. Anybody who's played competitive sports, knowing we've all been on that other side where you can spoil a moment. And every athlete in the NBA can play, and they sensed that moment, but they started to believe that they could win, the Wizards. And the Lakers had them not believing until the end of that third quarter. That 10-2 run in the final 2 minutes by the Wizards got them back in the game.
And that's all you need. You just need to see one shot go down sometimes, but also I think you add to that word respect, respecting the process. There are going to be ups and downs, but I think it goes back to what Lebron has said and said a couple weeks ago. There's not a lot of experience when times get tough for this team to turn to one another and trust one another. We talk about it every pregame show. 33 different starting. This is not an excuse, but it is the reality of the situation. So understanding when you are in those moments, the execution, the details, the little things that will bring you success. And I don't think right now there is enough belief in what that answer is in terms of reaching the result.
And guys, I know it took a while to get here, but something extraordinary did happen tonight. But it was our job to break down the game first. But when you look behind Brez and Rob, it's a pretty incredible, amazing board right there with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in a Laker uniform, of course, 38,387 points. Look at Karl Malone at number 3. He held that number 2 spot for 22 years. Of course, Karl spent 1 year here in L.A., but there's LeBron, and it has been a long time coming, 19 years to get to this moment, and he did it exactly when Ali said he would in the pregame show. We all picked a quarter. I was with Brez in the third. Rob wanted it in the first. Rob was feeling it, but Ali said it's going to happen in the second, and it did, and it was pretty glorious. It was one of those LeBron runs. He's hitting threes, diving to the basket, gets a layup. I kind of wanted him to dunk it. I'm going to say that. I know it's tough to celebrate it, but we have to give it its due. What a moment for LeBron James.
In this game, man, he's been coming out each and every year.